Greetings, fellow armchair Imagineers. Tiki here.
And Jacob Wile, too.
And welcome to, can you believe it, Jacob? It is the season finale of DuckTales. It is the Shadow War. And my God, it's 45 minutes long. It's epic. It's cataclysmic. And we're going to break it all down. Jacob, wow, where do you even want to start with this one?
Woohoo.
Woohoo. Indeed.
But I don't know. I mean, there's a lot to take in this episode.
I mean, let's not bury the lead. Donald has more to do in this episode than he has in the whole frickin' show, at least since the pilot. So what do you think about that, Jacob? I feel like Donald was kind of like a bookend to the season as a whole.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. Kind of interesting.
And of course we've talked through, like, Donald has had some sentimental moments and some some nice gags and everything sprinkled throughout the season. But I don't want to get into my hashtag Donald needs more screen time of it all. The thing that I have to say about this episode more than anything else is it is so, like, theatrical, you know what I mean, for lack of a better word.
Yeah.
It's just like it feels like you're watching an event from top to bottom.
I can definitely see that.
Of course, we start where we left things off with my favorite thing being the down and out Scrooge. Of course, when we left things off on the last episode, we saw that Scrooge, I really love that cliffhanger last week where we're like, ooh, I hope you're happy. You've lost everything. I am. So dramatic. Shout out to Pink Pearl Apple in the chat. Hey, Pink Pearl Apple. Let me know what you think of the episode in the chat, and maybe I'll shout out a comment of yours. Anyways, I don't know, Jacob. I'm scramble brained on this one because it's literally like it's so. I don't know. I will say this much. If I'm going to be ranking the episodes, it's a great episode, but I think it maybe falls just outside of my top three. And my top three for the season would probably be, when all is said and done, probably be last week's episode, which was Last Crash of the Sun Chaser, Mount Everest, and then honestly, Jacob, I feel like I'm going to put this one a little higher up than it deserves to be, but McDuck, McMansion, McMystery. By the way, I was really off on Mark Beeks being like the main thread of the season. That was like that, like he didn't even get a cameo in this episode.
Nope.
All right. Pink Pearl Apple adored the episode, and he's drawing comics, and he's working on one with Della at the moment. He or she, I apologize. Awesome, Pink Pearl Apple. That's really cool. It's awesome that this show and this community kind of garners so many different artists and so many different people to to draw inspiration from it. I think that the show, one of the big strengths of the show, is that kind of mixing of the old school and the new school. You know what I mean? That kind of like the old school, like Scrooge McDuck comic book stuff. Okay, thank you. My apologies. So that old school Scrooge McDuck quality, the adventure and the mystery of it all, the stuff that inspired readers of the Lost Ark, mixed in with kind of like the new school storytelling, kind of like, as I've been saying throughout the season, that Gravity Falls-esque, like we're really going into some serialized stuff with this. And I think, Jacob, the season started out a little rocky with that airing schedule thing. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
And honestly, I think what we need to do is we need to do a season 1 retrospective podcast next week to just kind of tie a bow on the end of things. But I think Mount Everest was a turning point. I think Mount Everest was the point where after that, everything kind of crystallized and came into focus. And especially from the Spear of Selene moving forward, pretty much that whole arc, every episode in that arc to a certain extent kind of kind of gave us a little bit more value and a little bit more information to glean from. Yes, it is kind of like the trickle effect of information, but it was really well done.
Oh yeah.
All right. Anyways, I feel like we're burying the lead on some stuff because there's just like literally all the episode is the lead to a certain extent. Magica, holy crap, we finally get her in physical form.
Oh yeah.
I know for a fact, I just want to shout out Monkey here, who had Magica's physical form spoiled to him in the comments. Not in the comments, in the in a trailer. It was a commercial that importantly wasn't even a commercial for DuckTales, but more a commercial for like Disney villains in general, right? So it was like kind of like a montage. And there she was, like the Disney XD version of Magica Dispel. Like, good job, Disney marketing department. Awesome work there.
Well,
all right.
Well, what'd you think of Magica?
Oh, I thought she was amazing, honestly. Just her power set alone.
Yeah, she's way more powerful than she's ever has been.
I mean, I definitely June Foray. Like June Foray is iconic, and much like how, you know, even though Margot Martindale is doing a good job as Ma Beagle, she's not going to replace June Foray, and I honestly kind of feel even more that way about Magica. Not that the voice actress for Magica is doing a bad job or anything. I just think that while Margot Martindale is kind of making the Ma Beagle character her own to a certain extent, like she's definitely going more Southern with the character than June Foray ever did. This just feels like an impression of June Foray, Magica Dispel. You know what I mean?
I didn't get that myself, but I see where you're coming from.
Oh, just the whole, like, you know, all the mannerisms and stuff, just a little like Scrooge. Yeah. I don't know.
Well, that's always been a part of her character, though.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I'm just like, I feel like while the move set was really spiced up and her powers were, I don't know. I shouldn't, like, we still haven't gotten. I guess I'm criticizing too soon.
Okay.
All right. Anyways, so what do you think of Down and Out Scrooge, Jacob? I'm sorry, I feel like we're doing a bad job of all this, because there's just so much to cover. Maybe we should have even split this into 2 podcasts, to tell you the truth, now that I think about it. Because I'm just all over the place here.
Let's just take it one step at a time.
Okay. So Down and Out Scrooge. First of all, I love the running gag with Magica of like, oh, he's really selling this pathetic thing.
Like, well, he definitely was like just wallowing in his self-pity.
Oh, dude, I love how it's animated. David Tennant kind of, you know, ever since that whole, like, I hope you're happy. I am. Also, let's give a shout out to Demona B!
Yay.
Norm! A little Cheers joke for you. Anyways. I mean that with all the respect in the world, Demona B. Anyways. So let's see. Where was I? Down and Out Scrooge. Down and Out Scrooge. Yeah, David Tennant, man. Ever since that whole I am. And Jacob, I can't keep going on about how great that I am performance is. It's 2 lines, but it's just like, oh my god, it's so good. It's 2 words. This whole episode, he's just straight up Shakespearean in nature.
While all the while rolling around eating pizza out of his shirt.
Also, thank you so much, Pink Pearl Apple, because I was kind of dodging around the fact that I forgot who Magica's voice actress was, and that is Catherine Tate. Yes. And also, yes, I agree. The Mount Vesuvius of it all. That's a really cool, obscure comics pull.
I think. Oh yeah, it was also in the games too.
Oh, was it? Was it?
Yeah, it's been remastered at least.
Okay. By the way, I know I'm skipping ahead. We'll get way more into the cliffhanger of it all towards the end of the podcast.
Moon
But
theme.
but
Moon
the
theme.
moon. Yeah, the moon. I'm just like, oh, season 2. Season 2 is going to be just a big build up to the moon level. That's what season 2 is going to be all about, Jacob. Season 2 is going to be the goddamn moon level, I'm telling you. I'm telling you, man.
Oh boy.
I'll say this much. With how much emphasis they've put on the fact that Della is on the moon, spoiler alert, and she's alive and well, and we know that's going to be a big focal point for season 2. Jacob, my God, if we don't hear the moon theme at some point in season 2, that's going to be the biggest missed opportunity ever.
Apparently, from what I've read, there was actually a bit of it in this episode.
Oh, really? Really?
Yeah. I mean, I missed it, but it was like right when they get to the moon, and apparently there's a slight essence of the moon theme.
I'll have to go back and check that out, man. I'll have to. You know what? We might have to. I might have to pull that up live on air just to see.
During the retrospective.
Maybe during the retrospective. Yeah, we'll check it. We'll check it out. Yeah, Pink Pearl Apple said we already heard the. Right. But Pink Pearl Apple, I get you. We hear kind of like a quick refrain of the moon theme. The thing is, what I really want like a big bombastic, like orchestral remix of the moon theme. You know, like just have it laid out in all its glory, like all in its 2.5 minute glory.
You mean like it didn't? You mean like it had in the remastered game?
Exactly. Yes.
Thank you, Jake Kaufman, by the way.
All right. We're talking way too much about the stupid moon level. I mean, it's not stupid. It's a masterpiece of game design, but I take risks.
All right. Okay, but I agree.
Okay, I mean, so an element of the... I'm sorry, go ahead.
They pulled all kinds of stops in this episode.
Dude, I know. I'm just like, okay, let's see. We haven't talked about Beakley at all. We haven't talked about the nephews at all. So let's go back to that side of things.
It's kind of interesting to see Beakley, like, go back to defending Scrooge and like agree with Webby and Launchpad to get the family back together.
Uh-huh.
It's like I'm an ex-spy and a grandmother. Manipulating emotions is my specialty.
That was probably my favorite Beakley line of the whole season.
Oh, it's perfect.
I was like, yeah, that pretty much sums up her character.
I like how they actually forcibly they actually acknowledge it's like, yep, we're forcing them to feel guilty.
Parent trapping, Jacob. Parent trapping.
Yep. The thing is, at least they acknowledge it, though.
Right? Launchpad and Webby were adorable together this episode, and I absolutely think that in season 2 they're gonna kind of build more on that dynamic.
One of us should remain calm. You?
Yeah, I agree. Pink Pearl Apple, one of the big highlights of Beakley. And let's talk about the Don Cheadle Donald. Let's get into that. Have you been saying things like that the whole time? Don Cheadle Donald was interesting. I admit, I was skeptical about it, Jacob. I was really skeptical about it, especially because I kind of infamously throughout the season have been saying we need more Donald. And of course, my whole thing when they announced the Don Cheadle Donald was like, oh, great. When Donald gets screen time, it's not even going to be Tony Anselmo doing the voice. Wonderful.
And then did we just point out the name Barksian modulator or whatever it's called?
Sure.
Like I like the reference and I like the reference to it, like the reference in the name. Carl Barks.
Uh-huh.
The Barksian. I mean, it's a mainly reference because, like, in the comics, he was like perfectly understandable.
Yeah.
And I just really love that thing, and like, it really kind of makes sense why Gyro would actually have that on hand.
I'm kind of surprised that Gyro didn't invent that earlier.
or maybe he did.
Gyro's just like, oh shit, it's the season finale. We need to actually give Donald screen time.
It's like in Gyro's, and look, it's probably like Gyro's like he probably had it from before. He just like found this like, well, this is the time to use it.
Yeah, probably.
Like of all times, Donald needs to be understood. It's now.
So the thing I love about this though is we do like the Don Cheadle thing doesn't happen until about halfway through the episode, roughly, right?
Yeah, we've gotten plenty of Donald screen time by that point.
Yeah. We've gotten a lot of good Tony Anselmo Donald screen time by this point. So that's like A, that's great. B, I love kind of how the Don Cheadle Donald kind of like deconstructs the whole Donald character in a way.
It's like it shows that it definitely shows the fearless side of Donald, and like even
okay,
though
let's get into this. Let's get into this. One of my personal favorite bits of Disney trivia. Of course, the fact that Donald Duck is one of, if not the only Disney character to like officially have served time in the military, like in canon, served time in the military. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
Donald Duck is a badass. You know, like you don't fuck around with Donald Duck. There's a reason why he has a temper.
And although I don't know if it, I don't think he ever served the military in this canon though. Who knows?
You know what, Jacob? The way I view the Disney canon is it's kind of like a butterfly effect, like kind of like all these alternate universes of like. So, like, I think the way I view it is like the weird Mickey cartoons that we're getting now. You know, I don't throw any shade on those. I'm just saying they're different. Oh, really? Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. Pink Pearl Apple said, for his 50th anniversary, the Navy officially relieved him of duty. That's actually, I didn't know that, Pink Pearl Apple. That's, you know, we really need to do a retrospective on Donald Duck and his military service. That's something, that's like a bucket list podcast that I've been meaning to do, because that whole side of Donald Duck absolutely fascinates me. Of course, I back in the day, I owned the Walt Disney on the Front Lines, Walt Disney Treasures DVD, and my God, that thing, it's like, oh, that got me. So that I feel like that box set was the thing that turned me from a Disney fan, like a fan of Disney, into like a Disney historian, you know, someone who's like, I need to find out all about Disney. Pink Pearl Apple, we were actually thinking, I believe Veterans Day. Veterans Day is when we were thinking for the Donald podcast. I'm not sure if Veterans Day and Remembrance Day is the same thing. I'm not sure. I've not heard of Remembrance Day. I'm not sure where you're from, Pink Pearl Apple. So I believe Veterans Day is coming around in September, though. All right. Season 2 is rumored for October, Jacob. Pink Pearl Apple's been pointing that out.
Oh, no. Nice. That's not too far away.
Yeah, that's not too far away, actually. That's like before my Disney World trip in December, which I'm stoked for.
I hope there's
remember, it's September 11th. Gotcha. Okay, that makes sense. Honestly, I think Veterans Day would make more sense for Donald, because, of course, the big thing we want to celebrate with Donald is the fact that he is, in fact, a veteran. So I think we'll go that route. Anyways. Okay, so let's see. So, like I said, I love the fact that the Don Cheadle Donald is just like the Donald Duck that you know and laugh at. And this is what I've been saying the whole time, because, again, I'm a Disney historian. I love the fact that Donald's actually spent time in the military. I'm kind of one of those people that prescribes to the kind of headcanon that his temper tantrums are sort of brought on by PTSD to a certain extent, especially because when you really break it down, like, Donald's temper really does kind of get into focus in the 1950s, because in the 1950s, that's when they paired him with Chip and Dale, and that's when his temper really became a focal point of the comedy there. So, you know, when you really break it down, I don't even think it's really by intention. I just think it was kind of like a happy accident that turned into headcanon. So, anyways. Let's see. Okay, so let's talk about the nephews. Let's talk about the nephews because, my God, Dewey, dude, Dewey.
And Dewey was a tough one to convince in this episode.
Dude, I freaking Dewey has literally become my favorite character on this show because I feel like the character arc through Dewey from beginning to end, I feel like maybe besides Scrooge might be the best character arc of the season. I mean, my God, I feel like we've broken this down before, the dynamic with the nephews, but Louie and Huey are a little bit more one note, and not in a bad way. Like, Louie is definitely obviously kind of the schemer, like, you like your nerdy stuff, I like gold. You know? And of course, Huey's like the prototypical leader with a lot of likable qualities to him. He's where the junior woodchuck comes in. But Dewey, I think, is the most well-rounded of the characters. I feel like out of the nephews, Dewey is the one who's really three-dimensional. And I think that probably is because of plot circumstance, because he was the one who was harboring a lot of the secrets, and he was the one who really wanted to bond with Scrooge throughout the season.
I kind of feel like Dewey's has the middle child syndrome of it all.
Mm-hmm. I almost feel like maybe throughout the first 3 seasons, we'll focus on a different nephew each of the 3 seasons. Like, you know, maybe next season we'll focus a little bit more on Huey.
It'd be kind of interesting to see if that actually does pan out.
Yeah.
I mean, and hopefully we still give more Donald.
You know me, Jacob. If it were up to me, Donald would be the main character of the show, and that's why I don't write the show. So,
oh
well. Okay, so I also just love Dewey's sailor getup. It's I want a plush of that, Jacob. I want a plush of that so bad. You have no idea how much I want a plush of that. I would go out of my way for that.
Do it for the fancy sailor shoes. Right?
Uh-huh. Okay, honestly, I think the only other major thing we have to break down, besides maybe some Launchpad comedy here or there. Well, let's get into that. What was before we transition into the big dramatic stuff? Let's get into the Launchpad Comedy Hour, a segment I literally just invented.
Well, my favorite part was when he was like making up lyrics to the Darkwing Duck themes.
That's another thing we need to see explored in season 2. We'll get into speculation for season 2 in a bit.
That was great. I had time to find something.
Oh my God. And like I said, like I mentioned before, I feel like the potential is definitely there for Launchpad and Webby to be kind of a dynamic duo going forward.
I kind of like to. It'd be kind of interesting to like see her like adopt kind of like one of like kind of like a Goslin type role. Maybe not necessarily.
Yeah.
You know, like to Launchpad and all that. I don't know.
I mean, I personally, I want freaking Gosling on the show.
Oh, me too, obviously. well, me too. But if he doesn't, I mean, Webby would probably make a good substitute.
You know what Gosling would make a good substitute for?
What?
Lena. Ooh, smooth as fuck transition right there. So let's talk about Lena, because I feel like she's probably the biggest spoiler and the biggest dramatic part of the episode.
It was quite interesting to see how all that turned out, and like quite a few nightmarish images coming from being possessed.
Mm-hmm.
It's like she's basically regurgitating a shadow over and over again.
Yeah, oh my God, Lena, I feel like Lena maybe has either the second or third best character arc of the season. I feel like it's Lena, Scrooge, and Dewey in any order, honestly, because Lena is kind of the big focal point of a lot of the drama that goes on in this season.
Yeah, between her, what's going on with her and Magica.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of which, it was kind of interesting revelation to hear that she wasn't actually a real person at all.
Yeah, what a twist.
It's like she was actually Magica's shadow given life after Scrooge trapped her in the dime. Speaking of which, this actually gives an interesting twist as to why Magica wants the dime instead of just like wanting it for like magical power. Her physical body's trapped in there.
So again, there's just this episode just throws so much at you. It's like I feel like okay, I'm gonna make a good analogy here, Jacob. The reason why this episode isn't in my top 3 is I feel like this episode is sort of the Infinity War of DuckTales. And what I mean by that, it's like Infinity War. I feel like Infinity War is a movie where it's in a lot of people's top 10s of the MCU, but not in a lot of people's top 5s. Like it's one of those movies that kind of harbors just outside of the top 5 lists. And I feel like the reason for that is like Infinity War is an epic movie, just like this is a freaking epic episode. But it's like one of those everything in the kitchen sink type movies. You know what I mean? It's like one of those like you never even really get time to breathe. It's so much coming at you all at once. And because of that, I feel like episodes like Mount Everest and even the McDuck McMansion McMystery, which I think is a personal favorite of just me, but what do I know? I feel like those episodes stand on their own just a little bit more than this one does, but like I said, this one kind of harbors like just outside of the top 3 for me. So yeah, not only is Lena a shadow, but she freaking dies.
In a way, yeah.
They actually kill off. They have the balls to sort of, in a way, kind of kill off a kid.
Yep. Even Gravity Falls never pulled that off.
Yeah, that's oh god. Could you imagine if Gravity Falls randomly killed off like one of Mabel's friends or something like that?
It's like they killed that little putty and
oh my god.
I can't believe I forget his name. Like Big Henry or whatever his name is.
Big what? Yeah, Big Henry is the golf ball's name. Yeah, never forget Big Henry.
Like rest in peace, Big Henry.
Big Henry was like the most tragic part of Gravity Falls.
He was only on screen for like 15 seconds.
But no, help me out here. I'm blanking on Mabel's friends' names.
It's the Grenda, Candy, and was there a third one?
No. I think it's just Grenda and Candy. I think those are the main two. Okay, so let's say they just randomly decide to kill off Candy.
Oh god.
Like that's what this is like, honestly. Like this show's not quite edgy enough.
But I mean, technically they didn't really kill Lena, but
I know, and I really like that sting at the end with the shadow, and I'm sure they'll do some stuff with that in season 2.
Like,
but
becoming Webby's shadow is actually kind of a nice touch.
It was.
That's like, and now like it was really interesting to see like everything play out at the end too, like how everything came together. And especially like Launchpad's dive tackle towards Magica. I've never crashed a me before.
Okay, so perfect freaking way to end the season. Everyone going for a swim in the money pit.
After
yes, just yes. That's all I can say.
Yep, and we get Donald's voice back. I mean, his the Barksian modulator shorted out. So we'll be hearing more of the Tony Anselmo goodness.
Hopefully. And of course, Jacob, do you want to talk any more about the Della reveal? I kind of feel like we blew our load in that a little bit. And yes, Pink Pearl Apple also makes a good point that Louis gets his wish to swim in money. Louis must have been in heaven.
Oh yeah.
All right. All right. So anything else that has gone on unsaid about the Della reveal?
No, it pretty much is like she's. Other than like this is literally the first time she's ever seen her children's faces.
Oh yeah, that's a good point.
It's like she left them before they were even hatched and has been trapped on the moon for over 10 years. Somehow I was able to get a working television, I don't know.
Right.
and was able to catch an interview where she sees them and it's like she clearly regrets her actions, as you can tell. So it's like she clearly just wants to see her children again. Hold on.
Okay. Yeah, definitely definitely a cool cliffhanger to end on. I don't want to criticize it. I feel like it's a predictable cliffhanger, but not in a bad way per se. Like a lot of season one was revolving around what formed the rift between Della and between Scrooge and Donald. And I feel like a lot of season two is going to be the journey.
Well, my only minor complaint is that it just seemed like it got patched up kind of quickly. Like this is a grudge Donald has been harboring for 10 years, and just because of some emotional manipulation, he suddenly goes to forgive Scrooge. I mean, I know why he did, and he realizes the importance of family and all that, but it just felt like it was just kind of, and the show even acknowledges it, just kind of a bit too easy. That's just me. I don't think it's a major issue or anything.
Okay, so let's see. We got some theories floating around in the chats here. Some good theories. Pink Pearl Apple says she thinks that Della was flown further into space and worked her way back, but was crashed on the moon. And then let's see. Renew Edgar. I can't say your name. I'm sorry. Renew. I'll just call you Renew. I'm sorry. Renew says, I don't think Della has actually been trapped on the moon for all those years. I think she was trapped in a wormhole or vortex, and then she just arrived on the moon.
Well, that's entirely possible.
Mm-hmm.
But what happened to the people that Scrooge sent after her, though?
That's a good question.
Scrooge nearly bankrupted himself. Sending all those people into space.
Well, that's why I think kind of the wormhole theory makes a lot of sense. Because if she was in the wormhole, then that would kind of in a way, kind of solve the breathing issue, in a kind of like pseudoscience sort of way. And B, it would make sense why Scrooge wasn't able to find them.
Kinda.
Okay, Jacob, so let's talk about some season 2 theories beyond Della, which basically ties into my whole Disney Afternoon extended universe of it all. All right, you ready to kind of do some deep dive nerdiness here?
I'm ready to give myself some theories.
All right. So I think on the Launchpad side of things, I'm going to be disappointed if in season 2 we don't get a physical appearance by Jim Starling. We don't get kind of like one of those don't meet your heroes moments.
or maybe just like we actually get a full episode just to get him watching Darkwing Duck.
That would also be great. I think it's so likely at this point that Darkwing Duck's going to be a spin-off. I feel like it's close to happening. You know what I mean? I feel like the ink just needs to dry on the paper.
He had such positive. When he was first revealed in that episode, and even you notice he also returned to do the voice of the bobblehead in this one.
Mm-hmm.
I think he had such a positive reception during this, and it'd almost be foolish not to have him return.
I think I can speak for Monkey. Monkey would love for them to do more stuff with the gummy bears.
Gummy Glen or whatever that place is called.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually see those mystical druids that they were talking about.
Yes. I think we're gonna see Cape Suzette in season 2.
That'd be great. Get to see Baloo and Shere Khan all with their.
I feel like we'll see Baloo and Shere Khan. I feel like the big holdover that we might get with Tailspin is King Louis, simply because from what I've heard, Louis Prima's estate does not like the way that King Louis was handled in Tailspin. So I feel like Baloo and Shere Khan would be
I guess
great additions.
that's pretty much why House of Mouse created King Larry.
Right, exactly. um yes, Pink Pearl Apple. I was just about to get to that. The three Caballeros. I believe that's been confirmed for season 2, and I am freaking stoked for that.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, I will say if Three Caballeros is a standalone episode, of course, my love for Donald, like that right away catapults it to my number one most anticipated episode of season 2. Like just going into it.
I kind of like to say like more. I mean, more of the exotic locations that we've mentioned going on, like kind of like more episodes like invent new locations that they haven't been to yet.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
Like like explore and like have Donald like actually show Donald being the most daring adventurer of
Okay,
all
that's
time.
the thing. That like if anything needs to change in season 2, we need to see Donald be more participatory.
It's like live up to the Webby's
Yeah,
description of the most daring adventurer of all time.
And you know what? I feel like we'll get more into this in the the way I say Caballeros. Yeah, I don't know how to say it. That's been something I've been struggling with since.
I think it's Caballeros.
I've been struggling since I was a little kid, honestly.
Yeah, I believe it's Caballeros.
Three
All right.
Caballeros. Together we're birds of a feather. Anyways, I apologize for that.
All right.
To quote the nostalgia, I love the Three Caballeros because it's just like the whole last third of that movie is just literally Donald Duck running around Mexico trying to get laid. Like, try to deny it.
I don't think even I don't. I've read some descriptions. I don't think even Disney tries to deny that one.
It's such a head trip that movie exists.
Yeah. That was a weird time for Disney. Like, yeah, that was a weird time for Disney.
But of course, I have to respect the living hell out of that movie because that movie gave us Mary Blair's art style to a certain extent. So yeah. Anyways, let's see. Any more Disney XD stuff we can look forward to?
Like you mean for like DuckTales?
Oh, yeah, I mean Disney afternoon stuff.
Let's see. I mean, I have no idea. I mean, we pretty much covered a lot of this stuff. Like, I'd be surprised they haven't thrown in like a Mighty Ducks thing yet.
Oh no, Mighty Ducks, no.
I'm surprised they haven't.
No. That's one bridge too far, sir. I'm sorry. I do not want those stupid Mighty. I hate the character designs. Unless they want to just have a hockey team on this show and just call them the Mighty Ducks, like that's totally fine.
That's what I was referring to.
Yeah, that's totally fine. I just don't want like the ridiculous like superhero like big beefy duck Mighty Ducks from the stupid that's
that's kind of what I was referring to.
Okay, my bad. I didn't mean to have such a strong reaction to that.
Yeah,
okay, of course, if we are weaving together a whole Disney afternoon cinematic universe, then let's just go one step further with it. You know, we have to have some sort of Goof Troop reference. Like, what would be the Goof Troop stuff we could work in that doesn't actively involve Goofy?
Like a trip to Spoonerville? I mean, I don't know. I mean, Goof Troop wasn't exactly the most adventurous of shows.
I know.
I mean, don't get me wrong.
You know what was the most adventurous of shows, though?
What?
Gargoyles.
Oh yeah. I'd love to see Gargoyles back.
Mm-hmm.
I see them like at least like go to like a large like New York style building and show like Goliath or something.
Right, yeah. Okay, you know what would be hilarious?
What?
Okay, you know that moment in Star Wars Episode 2? I'm going to get a little nerdy here for a second. Apologies. So you know that moment in Star Wars Episode 2 where Jar Jar Binks like walks straight into the camera, looks into the camera, and is like, fuck you. I might not have a lot of screen time in this movie, but I'm still here.
I haven't actually watched episode 2.
You're no fun. Okay, well, any Star Wars fans in the audience here, they know what I'm talking about. It's basically like the one point in episode 2 where Jar Jar Binks gets a focus and it's literally like a shot. It's almost like a fourth wall break where he stares straight into the camera. What if we got a moment like that with Bonkers? He's just like, hey, I know none of you like me, but I still exist in this universe. Oh my god, yes, Chip and Dale. Thank you, Pink Pearl Apple. Why, yeah, Chip and Dale would be a fantastic addition. Yeah, the Rescue Rangers, of course.
Oh yeah, the Rescue
Monterey
Rangers.
Jack, Gadget, the whole gang. Yeah, get them in there.
Oh yeah, that'd be awesome. Like, it also dives into the whole adventure aspect. I mean,
Definitely.
like
See, that's what I'm talking about. Like, I feel like at the very least, it would be like DuckTales, Darkwing Duck, Tailspin, Rescue Rangers.
You say Gargoyles already?
No, I haven't said. I think Gargoyles is kind of an outlier, though.
I mean, I'd like to see Gargoyles back. I mean,
I'd like to. I feel like Gargoyles are. I feel like it'd be better if it was like a visual cameo, like you said, like a statue of Goliath or something. But I feel like Tailspin, Rescue Rangers, and DuckTales is like the trifecta. Like those three. I feel like Darkwing Duck kind of like exists on its own, especially since Darkwing Duck, the character, is a fictional character in DuckTales. That kind of complicates things a little bit.
like I said, it could be like a spin-off of a show within a show, I guess.
Kind of like Rescue, kind of like what's that damn show? The Buzz Lightyear show, Buzz Lightyear of Star Command.
Kinda, yeah.
Yeah. And of course, my favorite headcanon for Buzz Lightyear of Star Command is that Al from Al's Toy Barn, voice Zurg. Yes, Gummy Bears is absolutely. I feel like Gummy Bears, to a certain extent, is almost kind of like the Black Panther of the Disney Afternoon cinematic universe, to a certain extent, like the Wakanda. Just in the way that they've set it up, you know what I mean?
And that's mysterious. It's mysterious, has this weird source of power.
Yeah, exactly.
Even though it's just,
of course, the gummy berry juice could almost be compared to vibranium. Oh my god. Okay, so this whole conversation, like a straight 20 minutes on Disney Afternoon Cinematic Universe. I feel like we could make a whole podcast about this.
And don't forget,
it just goes to show just how nerdy I am.
And not to mention the culmination of all the Disney Afternoon Cinematic Universe culminates in a battle in the middle of Gummy Glen.
And then, of course, we have to have Pepper Ann as the Captain Marvel who shows up to save everyone. Stealing that joke from Monkey there.
Oh God.
Pepper Ann.
That'd be a sight to see.
All right. Okay. Let's see. Anyone in the comments have any other things to say about this episode? Pink Pearl Apple says she would love Della to make contact with Launchpad. That would be cool. If, like, maybe Launchpad's not like the most competent person in the role to be taking in the fact that Della's trying to make contact with them.
I wonder if like Launchpad was like working for Scrooge when Della was still there. Well, probably not. I mean, like, it seemed like Della was the pilot before.
Mm-hmm.
So probably not.
Okay, guys, I think we're going to go ahead and wrap up, but rest assured, we are not done talking about Disney shows. As a matter of fact, tonight we are going to be doing a recap on this week's Big Hero 6.
Woo!
And Big Hero 6, I know, not quite as exciting as DuckTales. It's really not. I'll admit that right now. But no, not trying to throw shade at Big Hero 6 or anything, but
I just can't wait for season 2 to return. Is it actually confirmed, like, for sure for October?
Oh yeah, oh definitely.
Oh sweet! I didn't even know that.
Uh-huh.
Well, let's just see where these daring ducks take us next.
Yes, and importantly, we'll be back next weekend for a DuckTales Season 1 retrospective podcast where we'll kind of like go episode by episode, maybe even like rank the episodes from favorite to least favorite, potentially.
Maybe.
All right. And also, like I said, Jacob, I feel like we have more than enough material to work with to map out like a Disney afternoon cinematic universe in podcast form, like not just a 20-minute segment, but like a full hour-long discussion about that kind of stuff.
Wouldn't it be more like a television universe, though?
Well, yes, but I like the term cinematic universe.
I know, me too.
And I really think that between now and then we could even bring back the Discovering DuckTales podcast, which was a podcast that we did for the original DuckTales show. I believe we got about 15 episodes or so into that in our first run. So, there's stuff we can do to kind of fill the DuckTales void in between now and when season 2 comes
to finish
out.
all of them before this season started.
What?
Remember how the original goal was to finish them before this season started?
I feel like we could have done that if we really set our mind to it, but so much other stuff came up during that time period.
Yeah.
All right.
But we got this.
We'll finish them all eventually.
Yep.
All right, folks. Well, thanks so much for watching, and until next time.
Woohoo!
Woohoo!
These ducks don't back down.